So let's discuss now the language of chemistry. Okay, before discussing the language of chemistry, let me ask you very few questions. How did we learn what we are speaking today? Whether I'm speaking an English language or a Hindi language or Marathi or French, how did we learn? We learned all these languages by way of pictorial representations initially in our kindergarten time, correct? So as of today, in the entire universe, right from an office boy to the top management personnel or even to the Prime Minister, President, if you ask, what does A stand for? Then they are going to say, oh, A is standing for apple, right? You all are also going to say that A stands for apple. No one is going to say at the first moment A stands for air, A stands for aerodrome, A stands for airplane. No one is going to say aviation. So many different words, but we all remember because this apple is registered right over here with the pictorial representation. But I don't need this apple right now. I also know in a similar manner what does B stands for. If I say, you are going to say B stands for ball. Correct? So we don't need this ball right now over here. What I meant to make you understand that pictorial representations or visualization makes our learning easier, faster. You know, there are three modes of learning, you know, or learners. Visual learner, auditory learner, kinesthetic learner. So visualization gives us the best representation. So that's how in the 1600 AD there were so many elements discovered, and our alchemists tried to pictorially represent all these elements. Like for example, they initially tried to represent Earth in the form of a triangle. They said Earth can be represented by the symbol called as triangle, and silver can be represented by the symbol called as, this is not a smile, but they used to call it as a crescent shape. But then, how many different symbols are we going to remember? Very difficult, because there are so many elements. So Dalton came up with a very good thought process to create a different form of symbol. Dalton said that a circle can be represented for oxygen, say for example, a circle can be represented for oxygen, and a circle with a dot can be represented for hydrogen, okay, and a circle with a line, vertical kind of diameter, can be represented for nitrogen, can be the symbol for nitrogen. But again, the same problem we see over here as well. The way we see the problems in triangle and crescent shape. These are three elements, so three symbols. He discovered this way the symbols for nearly 15, 16 elements. But then again, to remember or memorize these symbols, very difficult. A for apple, we know, day-to-day life you all are using that, an apple a day keeps a doctor away. B for ball, you know that very well. And C for cat, I am not going to say that. Oh my God, the cat is here. Cat, I don't need you right now. Please go away. So cat is gone. So we know that all these things which we use in day-to-day life is easier for us to remember. These symbols we are not going to use in day-to-day life, so it's going to be very, very difficult. So what are we going to deal with? How are we going to name the elements? What symbols do we use for these elements? Then came up our famous alchemist, who was Johann Berzelius. Johann Berzelius gave a very good thought process. He said, you all are going to deal on a day-to-day basis with these elements, right? You are going to say oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur. So why not use their initial names only as their symbols? Right? Your think tank, it's open now. So why can't we use their initial names as their symbol? So Johann Berzelius was the first who came up and said that for oxygen, I will use the symbol O. For oxygen, I am going to use the symbol O. For nitrogen, I will use the symbol N. For hydrogen, I will use the symbol H, right? So the initial alphabet of every element, I will use that as its symbol. So I will definitely remember the moment I say O for oxygen. Like the way I said, A for apple, because in apple the initial letter is A. So A stands for apple, O stands for oxygen, N stands for nitrogen, H stands for hydrogen. Right? Very simple to remember. But then again there were troubles in this. Why? Let's see, what was the trouble? Now say for example, I write down 3 elements over here. 3 elements, mark my point, okay? Let me erase this particular factor over here, these symbols, and write down, or you can guess, what can we name these elements as? Say calcium, carbon, okay? So calcium and carbon, both are starting with the letter C. So the first step, what Johann Berzelius said, the initial name letter should be used as a symbol. So for calcium also C, for carbon also C, right? Again, even if I take chlorine, for chlorine also, it is going to be C. Oh my God, so much of confusion. So what do? Then we came up with a second thought process that we may have to use the second alphabet of the chemical compound, or maybe a third or a fourth letter of the chemical element to form the symbol. So for carbon, we let it be as C, but for calcium, we used Ca as the symbol, the second letter. Now calcium, we have used Ca. For chlorine, we used Cl, right? You may question, why didn't we use CH for chlorine? There are other elements which are having symbol as CH. You will see when we discuss all of them in the periodic table, right? Even chromium was given the symbol Cr. Now you see 4 elements starting from the same letter. How did we symbolize them so that we can remember? So when I say chlorine, what is the first 2 pronunciation that you can hear? Cl, that's the symbol that comes. When I say calcium, Ca, Ca, the symbol. Chromium, Cr, the symbol. So the pronunciation, the way you say gives you the symbol of that particular element. In a similar manner, there were some more elements, like for example, if I give you silver, sulfur, sodium, right? Now, what do I name them? Now, there were many elements with the letter S, very, very difficult. And that time, in the 1600 AD, some of these elements were known, well known by their Latin names. Any idea? What's the Latin name for silver? Yeah? Any idea? Yes, it's argentum. The Latin name for silver is argentum, correct? The Latin name for silver is argentum. In a similar manner, the Latin name for sodium is natrium. The Latin name for sodium is natrium, okay? So therefore, I symbolized sulfur as S only, but silver I symbolized with the letter argentum as Ag. So the symbol of silver went to be discovered and written as Ag. In a similar manner, for sodium, I used the Latin name and the symbol came to be as Na. Sodium, natrium, Na. So there were so many different elements which were known by their Latin names. Gold was known by the Latin name aurum. So the symbol of gold is Au, correct? Mercury was known by the Latin name hydrargyrum. So the symbol for mercury is Hg from the word hydrargyrum. Okay, so that's how the symbols came into existence, and it was now in the 20th and 21st century when we discovered and decided the symbols for each and every element, and this was being laid down by the famous institution of chemistry known as IUPAC, which is nothing but International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. International Union. So internationally, we discovered and decided what would be the symbol of each and every element, and that's how the language of chemistry started being discovered. Did you understand? So now, in this first part of the language of chemistry, we saw what is chemistry, what is the need to study chemistry, and thirdly, how did elements came into existence, what are atomic, monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic molecules, what is atomicity. We also learned how did the symbols of the elements came into existence in chemistry, because this is where the language of chemistry begins. please keep watching my videos and further lecture sessions so that your chemistry becomes very easy, and instead of hating chemistry, you start loving chemistry. Chemistry is love. Okay, so once you start loving chemistry, you'll definitely see that you can solve any of the chemical equations with a click of a sound. Okay, so see you in my next part when we'll be discussing further in language of chemistry. Till then, please read through your text, whatever I have taught you today. Go through the symbol chart of the chemical elements so that you know each and every symbol of the element. Remember, your chemistry starts from symbols, so you need to know the symbols of every element. Put that chart on your study table and daily go through it once. Don't ratify, don't mug up, just look at the chart once in a day. Within a month's time period, you will know each and every symbol by heart. That's what I can vouch upon. Okay, till then, see you. Thank you very much.